Hello friends, it's your storyteller here. The Nazca Lines in southern Peru are some of the world's most famous archaeological mysteries. These enormous geoglyphs etched into the desert sands depict everything from simple lines to animals, plants, and even purported maps of the cosmos. But who made them, and why are still very much unanswered questions. Some researchers say they were created by an ancient lost civilization as part of religious ceremonies. Others claim they served as burial grounds for the elite members of society. But some have even suggested that these lines may have been used as runways for extraterrestrials who visited Earth thousands of years ago. In this video, we'll explore the evidence behind these bizarre claims and hopefully shed some light on this enduring mystery. So let's begin with what we know so far. The Nazca Lines are located in the Nazca Desert, about 300 miles south of Lima. They cover an area of approximately 830 square kilometers and are so vast that they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. There are more than 12,000 lines and 300 geometric designs out there. And this is not counting the hundreds of animal and plant motifs. What's particularly strange about the Nazca Lines is that they don't appear to fit into the wider archaeological record. Archaeologists have so far struggled to date the lines precisely because they weren't created with carbon dating technology, and no other artifacts have been found near the site. To make matters more confusing, scientists also have no idea how the lines were created. Because of their sheer size, it must have taken thousands of people working together over many months to complete them. Yet no settlements or other human remains have ever been discovered nearby. As if this wasn't puzzling enough, there's also the strange fact that the Nazca Lines are situated in such a remote part of the desert that it would have been extremely difficult for the ancient Nazca people to access the materials necessary for construction. To create the lines, workers would have had to transport huge amounts of limestone from distant quarries and then use tools such as chisels and hammers to remove the top layer of pebbles and sand, revealing the red earth beneath. Yet despite all these challenges, the Nazca people somehow managed to produce these astonishing works of art, right? That was until now. A recent study published in the Journal of Archaeological Science suggests that the Nazca Lines may have actually been created by an advanced alien civilization from another world. But before we go any further, let's take a closer look at the main types of Nazca Lines and see if we can spot any patterns or connections between them. There are three main categories of Nazca Lines: simple lines, geometric figures, and zoomorphic figures. Simple lines make up about 60% of the Nazca Lines and range in length from a few feet to hundreds of yards. Some researchers believe that these lines were used as boundaries or to mark off sacred areas. Others think they may have acted as astronomical calendars, or that they represent roads or trails used by the local population. About 1,000 geometric figures are scattered across the Nazca Plains and range in complexity from simple triangles to more intricate designs like trapezoids and hexagons. It's possible that these shapes relate to agricultural terraces used by ancient farmers or represent constellations in the night sky. However, many archaeologists believe they may have been used in religious ceremonies or as part of a burial ground for elite members of society. However, it's the zoomorphic figures that have really captured the imagination of modern audiences. All across the Nazca Desert, you'll find stylized depictions of animals, including monkeys, lizards, dogs, spiders, parrots, snakes, and more. But by far, the most popular motif is the hummingbird, which appears in more than 50 different guises. These zoomorphic figures are usually incredibly detailed, suggesting that they weren't just created as part of a religious ritual. Instead, they seem to show a high level of artistic skill and knowledge about the natural world. In some cases, The animals depicted are so realistic that they could almost be mistaken for photographs. One of the most intriguing things about the zoomorphic figures is that they appear to have been deliberately placed around the geometric shapes. This has led some researchers to suggest that the animals represented here are guides to the underworld, helping the souls of the dead on their journey through the afterlife. According to Peruvian archaeologist José Lizarazo, each animal has a different meaning and significance. For example, the monkey represents fertility and is often found near trapezoidal shapes that may have been used in burial rituals. Meanwhile, the hummingbird, which was sacred to the Inca people, is thought to symbolize the soul of the dead. So, why do you think the Nazca people went to all this trouble to create such elaborate designs? Were they trying to honor the gods? Did they believe the animals could help guide the dead through the afterlife? Or was there some other reason entirely? Well, according to Erich von Däniken, author of the controversial book Chariots of the Gods, none of these theories even come close to explaining the Nazca Lines. Instead, he believes that the lines are actually an ancient alien landing strip left behind by visitors from another world. Von Däniken's theory is based on the fact that some of the geoglyphs resemble spaceships and flying discs. He also points out that the straight lines could have been used as runways for alien craft, and that the animal figures served as markers for important sites. Now, this may sound like a crazy theory, but when you consider the fact that we still don't know how the Nazca Lines were created, it's not entirely without merit. Von Däniken is far from the first person to propose an alien theory to explain the Nazca Lines. One of the earliest references to this idea can be found in a 1956 article published in Collier's magazine titled Nazca Lines, Riddle of the Desert. Written by Paul F. G. Lejeune, the article suggests that the lines may have been used as a landing strip for extraterrestrial aircraft. Since then, numerous authors have come forward with similar theories. Perhaps the most credible is that of Paul Devereux, who claims that the Nazca Lines are actually a map of the Pleiades star cluster and that the animal figures represent various deities worshipped by the ancient Nazca people. According to Devereux, the Nazca people believed that the animals could act as intermediaries between the physical and spiritual realms, and that they used the lines to communicate with the gods. Of course, there's no direct evidence to support any of these theories. Most of them rely on speculation and conjecture rather than hard facts, and mainstream archaeologists have largely dismissed them out of hand. For example, Anthony B. David, an archaeologist at the University of New Mexico, has pointed out that there's no evidence that the Nazca people believed that aliens had visited Earth, or that they themselves had ever left Peru. It's true that there's no hard evidence to support any of these theories, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong. After all, just because we have unfound artifacts or other physical remains that prove beyond a doubt does not mean that they didn't exist in the first place. Furthermore, we shouldn't forget that for many years, scientists also dismissed the idea that humans could have possibly built the pyramids of Giza. Yet, new discoveries have shed light on how these amazing structures were constructed, and Egyptologists are now coming to the conclusion that they were almost certainly built by ancient Egyptians. Why should we be so sure that the Nazca Lines are any different? So what do you think? Do you agree with von Däniken that the Nazca Lines are actually alien landing strips? Or do you think they were created by an ancient lost civilization as part of a religious ceremony? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to stay tuned for more videos on ancient aliens. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family.